Hours of talking, top rope walking, ultimate Xing, serious flexing. Never be vague with your boy Craig. And opinion mixing from Pete to Nixon. Keep doing things in an impactful way. Bloody nonsense, as the Brits say. Talking bloody nonsense.
Yes, it's me, it's the MIC, Craig, aka Mr. Impact. Join us always by the one and only Peter Nixon. This is our Rebellion special, talking bloody nonsense right here on the TNAIW channel. As you can see, we are joined by our very first guest on the main show, the Booker Man of DOA Wrestling, Alec Burnitt. Thank you for coming on. How's it going?
I'm good, yeah. So a day at work and actually managed to get this set up on my phone relatively easily, so success.
Great success.
Yeah.
Great success.
A Borat reference. Topical.
Yeah. Kind of, I guess. But yeah, so it's obviously the week of Rebellion. It's here. The card is pretty stacked. Obviously, myself and Nixon went into a bit more detail of it last week, but we'll go again this time. We'll give our predictions. And for the final 10, we'll just jump in and talk a little bit about what happened on Impact this week and what's coming up. So we'll have a final 10 re-preview. 2 segments in one for you there. So I guess without any further ado, let's get into Rebellion. Card seems, like I said, seems pretty stacked, but Alex, since you're the guest, we'll go straight to you and get your take on Jonah versus Ishii.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be good. I'm a big fan of Jonah. I was in NXT as well, and saw a bit of his stuff before that even. Yeah, him and PCO was wicked. Yeah, I hope, and I think, I don't know if we're predicting already or what, but yeah, I think that Jonah should and will win that, to keep him strong and as a sort of potential type challenger in the months ahead. So I think he will win, but I think it'll be really good and something different. I like the kind of the big heavy hitting matches, and I think Jonah's one of the best at that. So yeah, I think that's going to be really good. And yeah, Jonah for me.
Yeah, I love Jonah. I think he's been tremendous. He was, like you said, Alec, tremendous in NXT. I loved that match he did with Johnny Gargano for the North American title. I thought it was fabulous. I like this match against Ishii because it's different to the matches he's been having. It's more of a stand-up and slug fight, whereas the stuff he's been doing with PCO has been, move heavy, for lack of a better term. But yeah, I'm with you, Alec. I think Jonah picks up the win here. It doesn't hurt Ishii to come into Impact and lose to Jonah.
No.
If he was losing to Johnny Swinger, for example, then maybe not. But Ishii can rebound. I'm sure he'll be on future Impact shows as well, where he can, grab another win and build him back up.
I think that it's similar in the way Suzuki on AEW losing to Samoa Joe. It doesn't do Suzuki any harm because it's Samoa Joe, if that makes sense, and it doesn't do Ishii any harm losing to Jonah, because the match, I mean, it should be really good, so nobody loses really.
Yeah, very true.
Jonah needs it.
Should be an absolute banger. And before multiverse of matches, I would have been completely on Jonah winning this match. Obviously, Ishii did lose at multiverse of matches to Eddie Edwards, and of course, there's the rumors of Jonah maybe not sticking around with Impact on a permanent basis. I don't know how pleased New Japan will be with a legend of like Ishii, losing twice in the same company. I'm fully behind Jonah, and I think he's one of the best super heavyweights. He had what all accounts, had a great match at Progress with I believe Luke Jacobs for the Atlas, the final of the Atlas tournament. Spoiler alert. So I'm all for Jonah sticking around, but whether it does come to fruition is a different story. It's a tough one. What do you think? Do you think Jonah is sticking around, or?
I think even if he's not under contract, I think he dips his toe in and out. I think he's here certainly for the next year. I can't see him finishing up at Rebellion, certainly.
Yeah, no, I think the same. I think that that Jonah, I mean, I think he should stick around, because I think there's still a lot of matches that are really interesting with him. So I think that him and Moose, him, Josh Alexander, a rematch with PCO, more matches that interest me with him. And I feel like if he went, say, for example, AEW or something like that, he'd quite easily get lost in amongst that shuffle, which seems to be the case there anyway with a lot of people. But in Impact, he can really get a focus on him, a spotlight on him, and I think he's one of the top guys there. So and he's showing that. So I think he should stick around if he's not planning to, and he probably listens. They all do. They're all secretly listening. Then yeah, he should stick around. I want him to, and hopefully he does.
I think money-wise, even if he's not making the big bucks in Impact, he's working New Japan as well, and he can do his own stuff on independent. So financially, I'm sure he's doing all right. He wouldn't need to take the big money deal from AEW or go back to WWE necessarily.
Yeah, and I think that, when I know things are still a little bit tight in terms of people going over to Japan, and there doesn't seem to be as many sort of American guys, or I know he's New Zealand, isn't he, but he's based in America. Doesn't seem to be as many working the shows in Japan, and now New Japan are doing more shows in the US, but the Japanese fans in Japan will absolutely love him as well, so I think that relationship with New Japan and enable him to work regularly for Impact, I think the balance is really good for him, and I think that he should be sticking around.
Yeah, it's I'd say that seems more likely. And going on off that, if I'm pretty sure we're confident Jonah will stick around for at least a while longer, certainly longer than Ishii. So with that thinking, I think I will have to go Jonah picking up the win on Ishii. So if all agreed, is Jonah picking up the win at Rebellion?
We're all agreed, so book it, Scott.
Would have a talent, and just should be a banger match either way. Whichever way the result goes, should be a killer match. Next, we move on to a match that is, with recent news coming out, is kind of up in the air. Eddie Edwards versus Jonathan Gresham. Of course, Jonathan Gresham was supposed to compete at Progress this past weekend. Unfortunately, due to an injury, don't know the severity of it, but it's still being announced, and it's still on the card as we speak. So I guess we'll predict it as it's happening. Nixon, what's your take on this one? No, either way, it should be a great match. All this entire card is stacked, and Gresham versus Eddie shouldn't be any different.
I've loved the Honor No More story arc. I think it's been tremendous all the way through. And the Eddie reveal, although it was obvious, it was still quite satisfying. I know you were up in arms, Craig. It really got you, didn't it?
Yeah, it properly pissed me off. But this job.
Yeah, absolutely. I think because Gresham, if the rumors are correct, he's headed to AEW as the Ring of Honor World Champion. So that means Eddie has to get the win here. It doesn't go any other way for me.
yeah, I have to agree on that one. I think Gresham was great, and everything he's done in Impact so far he's proven himself as, if not the, at least very top technical wrestlers in the world. And as Ring of Honor World Champion, he's doing a great job. But of course, with Tony Khan, AEW now owning Ring of Honor, we don't really know what's going on there. Whether this relationship between Impact and ROH will continue, but judging by what happened with Suzuki and TV title, it's not very promising for the likes of Deonna Purrazzo.
No, unfortunately not. Regarding Ring of Honor, right quickly, sorry to interrupt. I was concerned when Tony bought AEW bought Ring of Honor, because I wondered if he would sort of sacrifice the authenticity of Ring of Honor and sort of promote it as an AEW product with the Ring of Honor banner on it. But watching Battle of the Belts on Saturday, seeing Gresham against Dalton Castle, they used their entrance musics, they used their entrance videos. Bobby Cruz was the announcer, so I'm hoping there is that authenticity of Ring of Honor on the new product. And I liked the match with Gresham and Dalton Castle. I don't know if either of you watched it. I'm a big Dalton Castle fan. So yeah, it was good to see those two have a good match. People get into the match. The crowd really got behind both men. So I'm excited for the future of Ring of Honor and Jonathan Gresham in AEW's Ring of Honor.
Yeah. Alec, short take on all this.
I'm kind of in the same boat. I was a bit disappointed. I don't watch AEW as much as I watch some other brands. And I'm one of the few people who kind of stuck watching Ring of Honor throughout the pandemic and stuff. And I actually thought they were one of the better shows with no crowd, especially when they did the Pure tournament. And I was concerned because there's a lot about AEW that is not really for me. It's not my cup of tea. And like you said, I think that so far it's not been too bad. There's a lot of things they are keeping and sticking with. I was a little bit concerned that on the pay-per-view that they did, they seemed to kind of shift belts onto people who are AEW contracted guys and off of people that maybe they're not going to be keeping around, and that's to be expected, but doing it all in one night seemed a bit much. It got to the end of the show and I was half expecting them to bring out someone to add to Gresham and Bandito just to win the title, because I was like, okay, everything's changing. But I think with Eddie Edwards and Gresham, I think the fact that it's not because Gresham's been defending the Ring of Honor title everywhere. The fact that the match is not for the Ring of Honor World Championship, I think, says that Eddie Edwards is going to win. Because otherwise, Gresham's been defending it everywhere. So why wouldn't it? Yeah. Why wouldn't they try and make that, part of the story? I think Eddie Edwards wins. Gresham rides off to Ring of Honor / AEW and does his thing there, and it does a lot more for Eddie Edwards than Gresham to win and then leave. So for Impact's sake, I think Eddie Edwards has to win.
Yeah, I think we're all on the side of Eddie Edwards in this point then. Again, it's unanimous.
We're all agreeing on everything.
Yeah, we're going to have to shake things up a bit.
Wait, I've got some hot takes coming your way.
Oh, okay, right. Looking forward to this.
All right, so let's change the pace a little bit, and we'll go to a match that was announced today as we record, which is a Tuesday.
Oh, might miss.
It's the Influence defending the Knockouts World Tag Team Championships against the Inspiration on the kickoff to Rebellion.
Okay.
Which I'm not necessarily a fan of, but I understand considering the rest of the card. But I just hope the Inspiration win, especially with the whole Caleb thing. I don't think it makes any more sense to keep the Influence as the champions, in my opinion. I've just been Inspiration Iconics from day one, so I'll stay with Inspiration, and we 2-time Knockouts Tag Team Champions. Alec, what's your take on the Knockouts Tag match?
Well, I've just found out this match is happening from you, so yeah, I think ordinarily I would have agreed with you there. The fact it's on the pre-show, I don't know if that means that they won't switch the titles, or maybe that's something to try and hook people with the pre-show and do a title change there. I get a little bit frustrated with the Knockouts tag titles, and same goes for WWE's women's tag titles, in that a lot of the time it feels like makeshift teams, like not real tag teams. I don't think there's that much depth in a lot of the women's tag divisions, which is a shame. I think I don't think the titles will change on the pre-show, personally.
I don't think it's a case of the titles not changing hands on the pre-show, because like you said, they often use the pre-show as an advert for, to buy the pay-per-view. And if the pay-per-view, if the pre-show's airing live on YouTube, it's going to get people, if there's a banger of a match, which the last few pre-shows have been outstanding. The matches on the pre-show rival the matches on the main card. Yeah. So I think, if there is going to be a title change, it could happen on the pre-show. But I'm with you. I think the Influence retain here. I know, Craig, that you're a big fan of the Inspiration, and I think they're wonderful characters, really funny. In ring wise, I think they just haven't brought it in Impact so far. I mean, their match at Sacrifice was good, but that's the only good match I've seen the Inspiration have in Impact.
Yeah, but they're the only real. Well, not the only, but one of the few real teams. Like I was saying, a lot of time teams are thrown together to make the challenger of the month or whatever, and they at least, the positive to them is they feel like a real team. But I think they've still got, they're riding off of this kind of WWE reputation. They've not yet really delivered on it for me. I
mean, there are teams. I mean, obviously the Influence, Decay. You've kind of got Tasha Steelz and Savannah Evans. You could do something with Deonna and Chelsea maybe, but you're right. They are kind of thrown together teams, and then you could bring anyone for Lady Frost or Giselle Shaw to team with. So I think there is potential depth in the division.
Yeah. I mean, I liked, although they kind of repeated a lot of the same matches, but the Tasha Steelz with Kiera Hogan.
Yeah, fire and flavor.
Yeah, they felt like a real team. Although they seem to repeat a lot of the same matches for multiple shows in a row with them, but still, they felt like a real team. And as Kiera Hogan's not really landed anywhere else yet, maybe at some point she comes back as well, because I quite like them as a team.
Yeah, Fire and Flavor were great, and it was a good place to start for the rebuild of these tag team titles. But I agree they had kind of petered out a little bit. I mean, obviously there's been, especially between the Inspiration and the Influence, there's been COVID, there's been injuries, there's been anything and everything with this match. So, but as far as the Inspiration go, what I gather from their first interviews when they come into Impact, they're very much of the mentality: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And it's, especially with this stuff they have, it worked in WWE. It just didn't get a lot of time to do it. They didn't have much time on TV to do it. NXT, they get in there, they don't move to the main roster. They should have put tag titles on from the beginning, but hey, it is what it is. But I think, because obviously now Caleb's gone, it's not the storyline there is gone completely. Apart from the fact this is a rematch, the storyline has now just got poof. So I think they put inspiration back, tag titles back on them, and then the influence had their rematch, which I guess that because if inspiration beat influence, if influence beat inspiration, it's kind of where now because they haven't really. We mentioned it last week. They haven't really been building any more teams whilst these two have been feuding. So, I mean, of course, if Rosemary does end up losing, then they could go back to Decay, or they can build up Frost and Shaw. But it's an interesting one. But I'm sticking with inspiration. I think you two influence.
Yeah, I think you make some good points, Craig. I'm sticking with the influence, but with what you've said, it wouldn't surprise me if the inspiration get him back. Regarding Caleb, I mean, if he is gone, then it's a huge loss because he's a tremendous utility player. But is this whole thing a work? Is he coming back very, very soon with a new, not a new gimmick, but a new sort of presentation?
Maybe even a new tag team.
Could be.
Who knows? But I think it'd be interesting to see what they do with this one because, like I said, the storyline there, if it is legit, then the storyline's just kind of vanished now. But we'll move on to let's go these matches that will feature also on the countdown to Rebellion. Oddly enough, the X Division Championship, Trey Miguel defends against Ace Austin and Speedball Mike Bailey. I mean,
on the pre-show.
On the countdown, yeah, pre-show.
I saw that.
That is very confusing. I mean, that's the match we open with.
Yeah, but I think that's perhaps done because there's already the other triple threat on the main show, so maybe that's the thinking. But I don't know. It does seems a bit of a strange decision. But then if you've got this card, what other match from the rest of them would you put on the pre-show? If you've got to put two of them on the pre-show,
You're
what?
Right. Yeah, you make a good point.
There's
because you
nothing else.
You couldn't put both women's matches on the pre-show.
No chance.
Have the internet trolls. Have the internet trolls on your back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I think actually, when you look at it like that, it's not that surprising. But yeah, two of the title matches being on the pre-show is a bit strange.
Who do we see winning?
Right, so I've got a theory on this match. Oh, this is my hot take, Alec. Everyone is expecting Speedball Mike Bailey to win this match. I think they go the total opposite direction. I think Ace Austin regains the championship, and it can lead to a rivalry between Austin and Bailey, with Bailey obviously the babyface chasing the villain.
Yeah, I'm fully. My heart wants Speedball, my head says Ace. Because I'm such a fan of Speedball for so long. Obviously, he is essentially a veteran. He is a veteran. He's been around for quite a while, but obviously his momentum got stalled massively with the whole visa issue. But right now, I think it'd be too quick to put the title on Speedball. So, and Trey, again, COVID and family issues is obviously not his fault, completely not his fault, but it has kind of stored his momentum as X Division champion. Don't really see him a lot on TV. I think they'll get a title off Trey and they'll move it to Ace Austin, not for very long, just long enough to build up Speedball, potentially to maybe maybe it happens at Under Siege in May, but I'm gonna say Ace.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, Craig, they haven't. I mean, Bailey's been in Impact since January, and it is a bit too soon. But not just that, he's not quite over enough yet. He's not getting the big crowd reactions yet, and it will come. I'm certain it will come, but it's not there just yet, and that's the reason I think Bailey doesn't win the championship on Saturday.
Yeah, I think that the issue that you have is when, and I think it is a case when Bailey wins it, that he needs to win it from, a heel, from a villain, in order for it to kind of get the reaction. So naturally, you would think then Ace Austin. I just hope that if they go down that route, that Ace Austin is not too quick of a reign and switch, because he didn't really get a big reign with it before. It felt like they could have done more with him as champion when he had it last time. Well, I felt so. So yeah, but actually, I think in this match, I think champion retains. Actually, in this, yeah, and I think that Ace Austin and Mike Bailey will still have a feud coming out of it, but not for the title, and that'll be used to elevate Bailey to get him to the point of getting those reactions that they're after, but not in a title program. And then he will eventually win it later in the year. Personally.
Yeah, I think all sounds very plausible.
Yeah, I agree. It is almost inevitable, Mike Bailey to win this title, but I think Ace will potentially roll up Bailey. Like, Bailey's got a back turn and be a roll up and a sneaky heel win. I think that's how I can picture it in my head. But it's Impact, they can literally take us one way and spin us in entire direction. So I can only wait and see. But so we'll go on to
who's keeping track of this?
I am.
Okay, what do I win?
Accolades.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Bragging rights to the next one.
Cool.
So we'll go on to the next triple threat on the card, which I said last week and I stand by, could easily be a number one contenders match for the World or X Division Championship. And it is Steve Macklin versus Chris Sabin versus Jay White. And I am so excited for this match. Because I firmly believe Macklin will win this. I firmly believe it, but I guess it's Impact. So Jay White just lost, and so did Chris Sabin. So, Macklin, Sabin beat Macklin. Yeah. So it's an interesting one, because I know a lot of people were confused at the start of when this match was announced, but it all feeds in. Now Sabin beat White and Macklin just wanted to White low Macklin. So I'm excited for it. I think it should be a great one. And yeah, Alec, what's your take on this triple threat?
Yeah, I mean, we had a conversation before Mr. Nixon, where we were talking about Macklin and saying how it was kind of a signing that didn't really excite either of us, and he's been a bit of a revelation. I would love for him to win this triple threat. I don't think he's going to. I personally think Jay White will win, but I would love it for Macklin to win. My prediction though is Jay White.
Yeah, that's fair. I think because Jay lost at Multiverse to Sabin, then he could potentially be in a position where he needs to get a win back. But I'm with Craig. I'm siding with Steve Macklin. I think he's got some good momentum going at the moment. Mind you, he lost to Eric Sherry last week. and that is kind of 50-50 booking if he wins this. But I think you need to start building Macklin up as a potential challenger to the World Championship, because I think I'm going to say Bound for Glory next year, Macklin will either be defending or challenging for the world title in the main event of Bound for Glory. That's my that's another hot take.
Bold
And
prediction.
it's not like Macklin needs to pin Jay White. He can pin Chris Sabin and Jay White comes out of the match unscathed, and it won't hurt Sabin to job to Macklin.
No, Sabin's beyond that now. You know, it doesn't matter if he gets beat. Yeah, and I think Sabin will be the one to get beat. Yeah, I'm still sticking with my pick, but yeah, I would love to be wrong with this one, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, I love the fact, and we talked about it last week, Craig, that this is a three-way match with no real stakes. Like, there's no championship on the line. There's no announced #1 contendership on the line. It's just a three-way because these guys don't like each other. And it's so rare and it's so cool. I can't remember the last time I saw something like this. I remember one of the Bound for Glories, I think it must have been 2008. AJ Styles, Booker T, and Christian Cage had a fairly random three-way, and it stole the show.
Yeah,
and that's very well what could happen at Rebellion on Saturday.
Yeah, I think that does make it unique. I didn't realize it until you said that last week on your show, and I kind of sat there and thought, you know, when was the last time a triple threat didn't involve a title? Because it's usually the natural thing. There has to be a reason to get into that triple threat, and I think that does make it quite unique. It's not even like you say, a contenders match or anything really that seems to be on the line as such. But yeah, I think that's what makes it really interesting, because it makes it harder to predict. Yeah, but for me, Jay White.
All right. So we're going now to another. It's great that there's 3 championships on the line in 3 women's matches. That's love to see it, and I think the one we're most excited about, and we'll go to that one now, for the AAA Reina de Reinas Championship. Ty Valkyrie returns to take on the champ Diana Peraza, and we all kind of knew this match was coming, but the fact that it's this week is so great. Nixon, what's your take on this one, and who do you see picking up the win?
Well, like you said, I mean, we predicted this match to happen at Multiverse. Pretty much everyone did. But we got that reveal of Taya coming back to Impact at Multiverse, which is, if anything, it was more satisfying to know that this match is coming up, as opposed to just, oh, here it is. I fully expect Taya to win the championship, and because we all know Deonna's going to have to drop the Ring of Honor Women's Championship very soon, and this begins the mental downward spiral of Deonna Purrazzo, like we kind of saw with the Mickie James feud. But I think you could even build Deonna up again as a babyface and have her challenge Tasha Steelz for the Impact Women's the Knockout Championship. So that's the way I see this one going.
Alec, who have you got on this one?
Yeah, I think it almost, I hate to say obvious, but it almost feels like it is a little bit that Taya will win. I think it'd be good. I'm actually more excited about the other women's title match on the show, strangely. I'm a big Rosemary fan, so I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, I think it's only going to go one way. And yeah, I think you're right though. As I hadn't really thought of Deonna being able to switch in and doing rebuilding her up as a babyface, but I think that would actually work quite well and be completely different, because if you try and just retread the same thing again with her, I think it's time to kind of switch things up a little bit, maybe with her.
Yeah, I mean, I agree in the sense that Deonna is probably going to lose this one, which is kind of unfortunate because we know she's also eventually going to lose the Ring of Honor title. I mean, also I don't know what goes on between in conversations between Scott D'Amore and Tony Khan, but if Deonna wins, then I think Mercedes Martinez makes herself known. But if not, then I think it's just the start of a downward spiral for Deonna before an eventual rebuild. And yeah, potentially going after the Knockouts title. But I would like to see Deonna win it. But I think everything that's going on, it kind of has to be Ty at this point. I think Ty gets the AAA Reina de Reinas title back. And then, but it's also, if Deonna does lose, when do they do the Mercedes Martinez match? That's what I'm trying to wrap my head around here. I can't see a time in the future. It's not going to happen on the AEW. I don't think Tony Khan would. I don't know if he'd necessarily have that, or Impact would necessarily be too happy with it. But because it's a difficult one, because Taya should be winning this title, but it's also, are they really going to let? Are they really going to continue the champ challenge at that point? I don't catch it, but from the Wrestling Revolver this past week, I don't know if Deonna came out and had the Ring of Honor title with her. I know she had a match against Billy Starks, but I don't think she had the Ring of Honor title with her. So I walked back with only one title from a camera angle, from a fan's camera. So I don't know what's going on there.
I don't know. Just kind of quietly, if they're not confident that they can make a deal work where she sort of drops it or whatever, they might just kind of quietly have that go away, and Mercedes Martinez is just recognized as the Ring of Honor Women's Champion. That would be a shame because, but it depends. It depends the situation between them, because I think the fact that they even named a kind of interim champion kind of says to me that they were quite far away on making something happen. So, maybe it goes until they next do a Ring of Honor pay-per-view, whenever that will be, and then that's when they'll do something. But I think maybe, just trying to think off the top of my head, things you could do with Deonna, maybe when she's not got the titles, maybe then you involve her in the Knockouts tag titles to kind of win, finding a partner, getting someone that's seems like a bit of a lackey maybe, but they're the one that gets the win, but she carries the belts around still claiming to be champ because she's got 2 belts. That kind of thing maybe could be kind of fun. Top of my head, but yeah, I don't know. I think maybe we might just see the Ring of Honor Women's title just kind of fade away, which would be a shame.
That would be so unfortunate, because I mean it doesn't have the lineage of other belts in the wrestling business, but it is an important championship, especially right now. And so, people would shit on that. People would really hate that. So I think I can't see Mercedes coming back to Impact and taking the championship. I think Deonna has to go there.
Yeah.
If it happens on Rampage or something, it's too big a match to have on Dark. But I don't think they're going to feature this match on Dynamite, are they? I think Deonna has to go there on maybe the next Battle of the Belt special, or like you said, the next Ring of Honor pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I really, really hope they don't just fade the championship off.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I would leave such a stink.
Yeah.
It would be really unfortunate.
Weird feeling about it.
Unless you have Dion just pull a Medusa. You never know.
Oh, yeah, that would burn a few bridges.
Yeah. So now we'll go to the third and final women's match on the card for the Knockouts World title. Tasha Steelz defends against Rosemary, which it's immediately, unfortunately, I don't see Rosemary winning it. I think Tasha retains. It just goes that way. Now, what's your take on this from Nixon?
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, Tasha needs some big wins under her belt in order to cement herself as a legit, well considered champion. And Rosemary, she's been in Impact for a long time. She's held multiple championships. It'll be a big win for Tasha, even though it's a fairly obvious win. It's still a big contender, a big notch on the mantle, as it were. So yeah, it will be a good match, I'm sure. But Rosemary just doesn't have the momentum, unfortunately, going into this match. And Tasha has been killing it for the last several months, ever since she won Ultimate X. She's in the position she's meant to be. Until a more legitimate contender emerges, Tasha wins this match all day long.
Yeah, it kind of has to.
Can't really add much to that. I really like Rosemary. Have done for a long time. I think she's great, but I don't see her winning. I think it is the right challenger, though, because as you say, she's got history. She's been on the top of the division. She's been around a long time, so it's the kind of win that Tasha Steelz needs to solidify her. Because I know for me, she still doesn't. It's almost like even though she's the champion, she feels less important than some of the others. It feels less important than the Taya Valkyrie match. It feels less important than when Mickie James is doing something. She just still feels that kind of step below, even though she's the champ. So wins like this are exactly what she needs to kind of elevate her still, because even though she's the champion, she still needs to be elevated and promoted like she is the top of the division. So I think it's a smart match, and I think she will retain.
Yeah, I mean, to say in your first reign as Knockouts World Champion, you've beaten Mickie James and Rosemary. I mean, that's a pretty good start. So now we'll go on to the men's tag team championships in an 8-team elimination match. The Violent by Design defending against 7 other teams in it. I'm guessing gauntlet style. I mean, it's interesting because tonight Violent by Design face Decay on Impact. I wonder if Decay get taken out by someone or something, and that leaves a spot open. But there's still a couple of spots open already. So I don't know, Alec, what's your take on who? Obviously, we went through the tag teams last week. There's still a couple of empty spots on this.
So just run me through which teams we know are definitely in it at this point. We don't exactly.
I mean, the Good Brothers, I guess they're guaranteed.
Okay, just in case there was anything that I hadn't heard. So before we came on, I was trying to think of who I think the 8 teams will be. I know who I would love to be in there and to win the whole thing would be the Briscoes, but they're on GCW that night in a scaffold match on that show. Yeah, you got the best tag team in the world. Let's put them on a scaffold.
Who are they wrestling in a scaffold match? Is it Bussy?
I think it's
not.
Bussy still.
It's, oh my God, what's his name? Used to wrestle in MLW. is it Mance Warner and
Oh yeah,
someone
Oh man.
John Wayne
Mansour.
Yeah, Mansour. That's it. Yeah. So the kind of I wouldn't be interested in seeing that personally, but there you go. I think it's a bit of a waste to put the Briscoes up on a platform where they can't really do that much. Matches in general just aren't ever actually that good. Like the idea of it is way better than than any scaffold match has ever really been. But yeah, so I was having a look, notepad at the ready. I was I know, prepared. I'm more prepared for this than my own shows. Yeah, this card's less likely to change, I guess, on the day. So Violent by Design, Good Brothers, Willie Mack, Rich Swan, I think they'll be in it. OGK, probably. Heath and Rhino, I think that's a pretty good shout. They'd be in there. Johnny Swinger and Zicky Dice, maybe.
Jeez. Oh, please.
Maybe like the other two guys in Honor No More, PCO and Vincent, maybe as a team. Maybe Major Broskies or Major Players. They're
Major
called.
Players, they're not booked on the show yet, but is Cardona on GCW as well?
I don't know. I haven't seen that he's on there. I would think that if he was going to be on there or announced in something, he would have been announced by now, being one of the sort of bigger names. So maybe they're in that. And that's about all I could really think of. So that's Violent by Design, Good Brothers, Mack and Swan, Zicky Dice, Johnny Swinger, OGK, Heath and Rhino, Vincent PCO, and then Major Players. That's 8. So maybe that's the list. But I'd like there to be a kind of non-impact team, like a surprise. Otherwise, why not just announce all the teams that are going to be in it? Maybe there's a New Japan team in there. Maybe there's I don't know. I really don't. Maybe the NWA tag champs. That'd be cool. I don't really know, but I can see there is room for a kind of a surprise. But I think my prediction is, it's quite difficult, but my prediction is Heath and...
That's not where I thought you'd go with that.
Hot take.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a few other combinations that I could think of, like Decay, Crazy Steve and Taurus.
Yeah, true.
Also, potentially another Bullet Club team. You could have Chris Bay and Hikuleo.
Yeah, true.
It literally skipped my mind.
If there's going to be, if there's going to be another Honor No More team, I wouldn't put PCO in it. I'd put Vincent and Kenny King. He's tremendous.
I can't stand him.
I hope he's sticking around.
I hope he's gone and never comes back and just goes. I hope he goes to AEW so I don't have to watch him.
What's your beef with Kenny King?
I just don't like him. Just really don't like him. Yeah, I think he's really just bores me to tears. I just don't like the guy. Not on a personal level, I've never met him. But, I don't want to either because I have to be honest and tell him to his face that I don't enjoy watching him.
He'd be heartbroken.
I know, right? I know. Never get him.
Right. Hot take. Well, that's not really a hot take. I'm going with OGK to take the tag titles.
Cool.
I think it's time for Honor No More to add some championships to their mantelpiece. And I think Taven and Bennett are a fantastic team. I really hope they're sticking around longer than Maria apparently is. So I'm going with Taven and Bennett to win the tag titles.
I did just very quickly. I did have a thought earlier when I heard that Gresham potentially injured, and spotted that Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards have been teaming on the Indies again, and I was like, that could be interesting. Or even if Edwards loses his match and then somehow takes the spot of someone, I don't know, and that happens, that would be quite cool. But
I would love that. I would love for the Wolves to come back, but as villains. I think that'd be really cool.
Leading, because not often a tag team sort of leads a faction either, so that would be quite a different spin, I think. But it probably won't happen.
I mean, Eddie and David did just lose the Revolver tag titles to Blake and Macklin. So,
Oh yeah, I see they were teaming again. That's cool.
it's more than, because it could be possible. Because like if, sorry, I'm keeping one eye on the main at Liverpool score, and I don't know why I bothered. But yeah, what was I? With the tag team titles situation. I mean, unless it's the Briscoes, I'll say Violent Design retain. I can't see. I mean, you got the Good Brothers. Their contracts are up. No one really knows if they're going to stick around. I mean, because if we're being realistic here with the Good Brothers, the way it looks to me, the only reason they came to Impact is because AEW lost interest. That's always how I felt about the Good Brothers.
But they signed with Impact and then did loads of stuff with AEW.
Yeah.
And that kind of dried up. But I don't know. I think there's a strong chance that Good Brothers win this. Yeah, with my sensible head on and not kind of going with my head and not my heart. I think that Good Brothers will probably win it. I'm not a big fan, but I think the reason being is I don't necessarily think they are going to stick around much longer, and it makes sense for them to drop them to the Briscoes and get Briscoes their win back when Briscoes come in. So I think that's potentially, I think that's the biggest win that Briscoes can get to win the tag titles, because Good Brothers are the most established team within the division over the last couple of years. So I think potentially that's the reason that the Good Brothers would win them. But I'm not a big fan of them personally. They're a bit kind of overbearing to the division, and actually it's one of the weaker elements of Impact over the last couple of years. And I think they're a big factor in that.
Oh, like we were talking about in Norwich recently, I think Carl Anderson is brilliant as a singles wrestler. But the Good Brothers are a team are just wank. I'm sorry.
Only on a UK show would you get the word wank.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Word of the night.
There's a different story.
I like that hot take that the Good Brothers could win and then drop them to the Briscoes. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I see that as a major possibility. But I seem to have a weird sense of when the tag titles are going to change hands, and I don't feel it this time. Maybe I could be completely wrong and just balls up my streak.
I thought you'd be Johnny Swinger.
Yeah.
That's where my heart is, but my head, VBD retain. I think Vibe Brothers retain. If it's young and Doring, which I'm guessing it probably will be, then I think young and Doring retain. If Dina's involved, Dina's eating the pin. Simple as that.
All right, for fun. All right, not just a prediction of who's going to win. Who's gonna stay in it the longest?
Ooh.
He's going to run the.
Not the Good Brothers.
No, if they win it, they come in last.
Yeah. Maybe the Soldiers.
Yeah, I think it has to be a face team. I can see Mac and Swan winning it.
Going distance in it would be good. Or OGK.
Yeah.
But probably more likely a babyface team, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's what I can see. Because I mean, before Swan got injured, he had that reputation of being an Iron Man. and it looked like they're going to go for an Iron Man tag match with the Soldiers in the North. But obviously, the whole thing with Swan unfortunately happened. So I think that's where I might go with it. But now, double checking, I haven't missed anything. Nope. Now it's the main event. Finally, we're getting it sooner than most people probably thought. But it is Moose defending the World Championship against the walking weapon in Josh Alexander. I'm really excited about this one. I think they've done a great job in building it, especially making it more personal. I like when a rivalry gets personal. So I think they've done a great job of it so far. But Nixon, go on, take it away, and who you think is going to win and what you're looking forward to in this match.
Oh, you know this is going to be a banger. And we've said it on the pod before. The main event of a show should steal the show every time. And, you know, Josh and Moose have the opportunity to produce a match of the year candidate. Who wins? I am so torn because
Same.
I've written down Josh, and I think I'm 51-49 in favor of Josh winning the championship. But then you're cutting Moose's title reign so short, and he's only just starting to have this amazing reign as world champion. And when I think world champion, right now I think Moose. I don't think of Josh. So it's tough. I'm sticking with Josh.
Who have you got?
Moose.
Okay.
I'm a massive fan of both. Josh Alexander is incredible. I personally sent around when I got the matches with TJP, and I remember just sending them to so many different people that I know don't watch Impact, so wouldn't have naturally watched it, and just sending and just being like, you have to see this. One of them being Brad Slayer, because he does the ankle lock, and I was like, look at all these different transitions into an ankle lock. Like, it was crazy. Yeah, massive fan. I do kind of still feel like there's something, like when he won it before, it didn't feel right. It didn't feel like he was the world champion yet. Moose feels like the world champion. And I think that until the time when I look at it and go, okay, yeah, that's the guy, and now's the time. And I don't think that's yet. I think Josh Alexander can. There's still other programs for him. There's still matches for Moose. There's still stuff that I want to see him do as champion. There's still big title defenses I want to see. And I kind of feel like if he loses it, where does Moose go? Because his whole thing for so long has been to be the world champion and to be the kind of top guy. And, he held the other, the TNA belt and all that stuff. And it feels like he's now in the position where the whole thing has been leading. I don't think it's time yet. So I'm going to go with Moose. And I think Josh Alexander wins it this year, and I think he probably will be the one to win it. But I think this circles back later in the year, maybe Bound for Glory or something, maybe later in that sort of October time. So maybe, later in the year, circle back to it. But for now, I think Moose keeps it.
See, from the moment Moose won it, I kind of had a feeling that it's just until they get Josh re-signed permanently and locked in for a long time. Now that's done, but I agree with you both in the sense that it doesn't feel like it should be over for Moose just yet. He has done a great job of being world champion, But I mean, going into Bound for Glory last year, most people agreed that from all the time leading up to it, Moose doesn't necessarily need a world title, but now he has it. It'd be difficult to get that away from him and say, oh, he's now he's just back to being a challenge, back to being Moose, not a world champion.
Just sorry to interrupt. I think just while you just said about Josh Alexander being kind of locked in on a new contract, as it seems to be the case. I think on the one hand, it's like, yeah, we've got him now, longer term. So yes, we're going to on him. But I think the fact that if he's locked into a longer contract, then you don't need to rush it. And you don't need to rush the belt onto him. You can do it at the right time. And I don't necessarily think this is it yet. But if he's locked in for a few years, then you can easily do that. You know, you've got that time to get it right. You don't.
Yeah. No, I agree. Way I'm thinking was that obviously Moose, has gone to Josh's home. He's speared his wife. So I think to do all that, and I mean, if Moose wins, then Moose is just taking another step from being one of the best heels in wrestling. But if Josh doesn't win, then it's almost he went through all that for nothing. It takes longer for him to get to it, and it's just that happened in a short space of time. A lot happened for Josh. The way Josh always says that his emotions are in check, blah blah blah. I think I have to go with Josh on this because but it is really a tough one. Thinking about it now, but I've since the first time Moose won it, thought it's only a matter of time. Josh will win. Josh will get his match and win it there and then. Now whatever happens. I think Impact have the benefit of the doubt in terms of their booking, but I think Josh will become world champion.
Yeah, and I think, to both of your points, there is stuff for Moose to do after being world champion. There's plenty of rivalries in the heavyweight division for Moose. Also, I think the main event of Bound for Glory this year, I originally said it was going to be Moose versus Josh, but now it's happening at Rebellion. I think this year's Bound for Glory main event is going to be Josh Alexander against Matt Cardona.
Yeah, I can see it. Maybe, thinking about it, would it not make sense for Moose to retain, but only keep this going another couple of months? I mean, this whole year they're kind of celebrating the whole 20 years. Slammiversary is going to be big. Ending Slammiversary with the big babyface title win for Josh, and that's only in 2 months' time. So I think maybe there, because then that's not stretching out the feud too long. But I personally don't see it being this Saturday. I think it would be after that. So maybe I like what you're saying there with Cardona, but yeah, I think Moose retains and Josh wins it a few months down the line.
Hot take. Josh defends the world title at Slammiversary in a King of the Mountain match.
Josh defends it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, anything can happen, right?
No, you're wrong.
Well, there we have it.
To the mountain. We're going to get a Queen of the Mountain match.
I'm all for it.
There you go.
Give it to me now.
Queen of the Mountain match. Main event will be Moose and Josh Alexander, where Josh wins the title, and Queen of the Mountain for the Knockouts title. There you go.
I prefer that. I prefer your idea.
Yeah. There we have it. That will be at Rebellion coming up this Saturday, night for you guys in the States. Sunday morning for us here in the UK. I mean, should be a banging show. Don't forget, on Saturday night will be the pre-show over on the Twitch channel. Maybe you'll see myself and Nixon, maybe not. Have to tune in and find out. But I guess with that, I want to say thank you to Alec. If you want to plug anything, go right ahead. I know DOA have got a couple of shows coming up.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, we are in Bury St Edmunds on May 21st. We're also back in Great Yarmouth on June 11th. Yeah, and that's the most immediate shows. We're also at the March Summer Festival again on June the 5th, which is always fun. Haven't been there in a couple of years due to the pandemic, so it'll be great to be back there. It's usually really busy, so looking forward to that. Yeah, and that's about it in the immediate future. I don't want to take too long talking about DOA on a podcast that's not really about that, but yeah, everything is going to be really good, and you should be there and buy tickets and enjoy. Actually, saying that, Mr. Nixon, your match was announced this evening for the next show.
Yeah, I saw it. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a tough one. I've wrestled Damien a few times now, and it's always a battle. But yeah, it should be a fun match, and yeah, come out to Bury and see me beat Damien again.
Yeah, Bury's like a home away from home for you.
Oh yeah,
always in Bury. So
and that's of the original Bury shows back in the day.
Yeah, and that's a Viva Lads Vegas. So it's the Las Vegas themed show. So we've got drag queen and all sorts going to be there hosting the show, and it should be a lot. Also, the Pandemonium Championship match is going to be a really fun one. I won't reveal; it won't be announced when this goes out in a few days' time. But it won't yet be announced. That'll be announced at the weekend. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. But this was a lot of fun. So yeah, thank you very much for having me.
Appreciate you coming on. It's always fun to talk wrestling. But of course, go watch wrestling wherever you are. If there's a local show, go just enjoy it. I'm off to Kamikaze this weekend. It should be a fun show. Can't wait to see Warhorse, which should be fun. Just a lot of fun wrestling, and also guest number 5 of TBN Chats, Rio, is also on the show in a triple threat against Mariah May and Zaya Brookside. So you can go check out that episode of TBN Chats. You can also check out the other previous episodes with Lizzie Evo, Len Davis, Ricky Knight Jr., PJ Knight. Go check that out. Any guests you want on TBN Chats, let us know. We are always on the lookout for new guests. Always.
Just probably your closing bit there. When's this going out?
It's going out on it goes for every single Thursday, 9 p.m.
9 p.m. Okay, that's fine. Ignore me.
Okay.
I will still plug what I was going to plug. So the last DOA show in Great Yarmouth airs on Fight TV this Thursday. So it is 8 p.m. But you can watch it on. So when this comes out, it will have already started, but it will be available to watch on whenever you like. So check that out. A couple of really great matches on there. In particular, the main event, first time we've had an intergender match for the heavyweight championship. Winston defended against Madison Miles, and I think they both really delivered in that. So definitely check that out.
That was a sellout at the merch table with the rest of the wrestlers. The match was excellent.
Let's go check all that out. You can follow us here, there, everywhere: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Sounder, Spotify, and wherever else you podcast. I've been the MIC and will continue to be the MIC. He's been Nixon and will continue to be Nixon. Until next time, goodbye, my friends.